Welcome to GFN Gaming. I'm Russ, and in today's game we're going to be playing some Warhammer 40k Killteam. I'll be fielding the Chaos Legionaries against the semi-new, entirely free Intercession squad. Let's go. Let's have a look at the mission. It's been a while since we played, so we're going to make a nice, simple custom mission. There is an objective in the center of the kill zone, and it costs 1 action point to pick up. Once picked up, it can be carried, and if the carrier is killed, the objective is dropped. There's no victory points for picking up the objective, but whichever side controls the objective at the end of the game will get 3 victory points. Very straightforward, so we can ease back into the rules with some new teams. It's been a while since we played, and man, we just littered the board with heavy terrain today, so we'll see how that goes. So in terms of terrain, these are your light and traversable terrain features. We then have our heavy terrain features, which basically covers everything else on the board. It's a very heavy board today. And of course, we also have some vantage points that are highlighted now. So that's the terrain. With that done, let's have a look at the teams taking part in today's match. Please consider joining my Patreon for early access to videos. Links will be in the description. Hailing from parts uncleaned, we have the Nurgle Legionaries. 6 operatives, and they're all going to have the mark of Nurgle because apparently I'm a dirty, filthy meta chaser. Leading the Legionaries will be the Legionary Chosen. He's armed with a plasma pistol and
a demon blade.
He's also got the most subtle giant bell on his backpack. Next up for Captain Clean's team is the Balefire Acolyte. I have no idea what this model is actually called. Best guess so far is the Plague Vapor. Anyway, the Balefire Acolyte has the Fell Dagger and a Tainted Bolt Pistol, and is equipped with malign scriptures. Laughing maniacally at the puny Tainted Bolt Pistol is the Legionary Gunner. He's armed with the Plasma Gun, but also has the Maelific Dagger, which isn't a thing. I of course mean the Maelific Blade. This gooey doughboy is the Legionary Annointed. Voted most likely to be locked in a room and be unable to get out and into the dark is the Demon Incarnate, who just can't master picking things up in demon form. Go figure. Next up, we have a little bit of a cheap proxy. It's a heavy bolt gun, and it's the Heavy Gunner with said heavy bolt gun. He's also going to have Suspensor system, so he can move around a little bit better than normal. And taking up the last slot in the Legionaries team is the ShriveTalon, armed with a bolt pistol and Flensing blades. They are also going to have the warded armor, just because I kind of like him and I want him to live. And that's it for the good guys, so let's move on to those bad guys. Boo boo, it's the Intercession squad. Painted up for the squad challenge, these are the Invictors, technically a former Loyalist squad. This means fluff-wise, this is actually chaos on chaos, led by an assault sergeant with PowerFist and plasma pistol. PowerFist aren't really ideal, but they just look so damn cool. He's also equipped with a tilting shield. Next up in the team, we have 2 Assault Intercessors. Both of these guys are armed with heavy bolt pistols which sport that nice P1, and they have chainswords. Next up, we have 2 Intercessor warriors, both armed with bolt rifles and fists, although one will have an Auspex and the other is going to have the Reclusiam Blessed Bolts for a +1 to both damage characteristics on that weapon. And lastly is the Grenadier, essentially an Assault Intercessor but with 3 grenades. For chapter tactics, my opponent got a little confused, as did I, and he picked Jeweler and also Durable. He also snuck in Unyielding as a little extra bonus without me realizing. Crafty little devil. Normally, you only get 2. With that done, let's move into the Turn 1 Initiative phase. Turn 1 Initiative phase, and it's the first roll-off. Intercession squad win it with a 6 and choose to be the defenders. The barricades are then placed and we move on to the deployment, starting with the defenders. Then it's time for me to place my Legionaries and we move into the game. Trapped in the warp in an endless cycle of war, the Invictors battle the malign forces of the Chaos Gods. Many of their own have turned from the light of the Emperor, leaving just a few loyal souls left. But how long can they hold on? Battling in the warp, they come across a strange relic. Librarians in the chapter claim this relic could help them breach real space and return home. But a squad of legionaries stand in their path.
For the Emperor!
Resolving the scouting phase, and both sides opt to dash, meaning the Legionaries will retain control as we move into the strategy phase. Turn 1 strategy phase, and both players will get a cracking podcast. Oh, it's self-promotional magic. Starting with the Intercession squad and the tac ops they chose, and they rolled Seize Ground, Protect Assets, and Central Control. This is going to be what they choose for Seize Ground. Also choosing the security archetype, and the Legionaries have Central Control, Damage Limitation, and Hold the Line. Using my Legionary Chosen's free stat, I'm going to take Mutagenic Flesh to reduce damage on non-critical attacks, and the Intercession squad don't play anything this turn, so we'll move straight on in to the Firefight phase. Starting with the Nurgle Legionaries, as they have the initiative, and the Balefire Acolyte is going to activate. He's then going to move and dash towards the center of the kill zone and then pass. Back to the Intercession squad, and the Grenadier is going to move forward as well, but just take cover here. The Legionary Chosen is going to make a big old move here, hiding behind one of the barricades. Warrior with Auspex is going to make a small shuffle forward and grab some cover behind this barricade. The Plasma Gunner is just going to shuffle forward so that next turn he can climb up or move out, depending what he wants to do. First bit of action for the game, the Warrior with Reclusiam Blessed Bolt is going to move out to get line of sight on the Balefire Acolyte, who is still in the engage order, and take a shot. Has had to move and dash, so this is just going to be 1 round of shooting. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, gets a 6, so that's going to be P1, and that's 3 hits. Gets 2 armor saves, 1 becomes a crit with Disgusting Vigor, leaving 1 hit going through with the +1 damage ammo. That's 3 wounds going through, thanks to Mutagenic Flesh. Not likely to get any shooting this turn, the Heavy Gunner is going to race forward to get good line of sight for coming turns. I basically want to make sure that I can see that relic so that if anyone tries to pick it up, I can gun them down. Back to the Intercession squad now, and an Assault Intercessor is going to race forward next to the Grenadier. Committing to the right flank, I'm going to move my ShriveTalon forward that way as well, because I kind of feel that's where the combat is going to end up. Looking to counter my movement, my opponent moves an Assault Intercessor forward on that flank also, staying in conceal and grabbing some cover, but certainly within charge range for next turn. Back to me and the Nurgle Legionaries, and I'm going to move my big doughy Annointed forward to support the Chosen Legionary or the Balefire Acolyte, going full demon as he does. Last activation of the turn, and the Assault Sergeant is going to move forward, staying in conceal and behind some terrain, and he's looking at that objective and also some squishy targets for that PowerFist. So that's it, end of turn 1, not a lot of action, but I think we're both braced for a brutal turn 2. Let's have a look at what happened in turn 1. Obviously a lot of movement forward towards the center of the kill zone where that sweet relic objective is. In terms of battle plans, I'm not 100% sure. The mission is pretty straightforward, and I do have some durable operatives. Ideally though, the Anointed would grab the objective, but he just forgets how to do everything once he's gone demon, so that's off the cards. I'd like to go second here, but if not, maybe I'll try and grab the objective and move it towards my Plasma, Heavy Gunner, and ShriveTalon blob to keep it safe. Baked in shooting twice doesn't sound like it'll be a party for me, so I'm going to want to avoid that. Let's see. It's a turn 2 initiative phase now. Let's roll up the dice, and sadly I win, so I'm going to have to make the first move. But first, the strategy phase. Both sides are going to get a command point.
Wait, what? Command point? Guy, you didn't even try.
Starting with the Legionaries, and they're going to play Mutagenic Flesh for free using the Favored of the Dark Gods rule. The Intercession squad are then going to play Assault Doctrine, giving them a reroll in combat if they charged in the same activation. And the Legionaries are then going to actually pay for a strat.
For shame!
And they're going to play Hateful Assault to fight twice. In a bold move, I'm also going to reveal all of my tac ops this turn, which probably isn't very tactical, but that's not what we are. And in true non-tactical sense, my opponent follows suit and reveals both of his remaining tac ops as well. The stakes haven't been this high since Cheech and Chong opened a butcher shop, so let's dive into the firefight phase. So I have the first turn, which I didn't want, but I'm going to try and secure the objective. I dash my Balefire Acolyte onto the objective, pick it up for an action, and then move towards my blob of operatives. I'm in conceal, but realistically that's going to do jack shit. Looking to get straight into combat, my opponent charges this Assault Intercessor into my Heavy Gunner. Now remember, he can fight twice for free. 5 attacks with the Assault Intercessor, hitting on 3s. Gets 2 hits and 2 crits, and with Assault Doctrine can reroll because he charged, but it's still a miss. 4 attacks for the Gunner, hitting on 3s. Gets a hit and a crit, rerolls with a CP, and it's still nothing. With Martial Zealotry, a crit parry gets rid of an additional normal, so the Marine parries and then hits me with the remaining 1 crit and 2 normal for 11 wounds with Mutagenic Flesh, so I have 1 left, and he attacks again. It's a full house this time, and I roll my dice, for the funds, but this Heavy Gunner is dead, and the Assault Marine has taken 0 wounds in the process. That's me vomiting. I guess at least it took him 2 attacks to take him out, but this does nothing for that sense of rising dread I now feel for this game. Looking to rack up a kill of my own, I race forward with my leader, and I plasma this sucker right in his stupid face. Never ask a salty man if he's going to overcharge his plasma, he obviously will, so I do and am immediately humbled by the dice gods. Still, after a reroll, I manage a crit and a normal hit, and at AP2, this should be good. Makes a save, and with durable, it knocks my damage down to 5 on the crit, so he still has, 10 wounds? What the Ah, you sly dog, you. He moves his Grenadier forward and then primes a crack grenade, throwing it at my Balefire Acolyte to try and make him drop the objective. 4 shots, hitting on 3s with AP1. Gets 2 hits and uses a reroll to try for that 3rd, but that's not how life pans out, baby. And I make both saves, further hammering home the point. Life isn't fair. Another bout of confusion as my opponent fires twice, thinking this model is a normal Intercessor warrior that gets this built in. It's my fault really, I've modeled him with a rifle. Anyway, he gets 3 hits with his pistol and I get 3 saves, so you know what? Forget this happened. This was a test to see if you knew the rules. It's my turn and I'm gonna barrel into the center of the kill zone with my Anointed. Move me now. Back to my opponent, and the Intercessor warrior is going to activate, move into the engage order and fire at my Balefire Acolyte. Really got it in for this guy. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s. It's a goddamn beautiful roll with only 1 hit coming through, and it's not a crit, so no P1, and I make 2 saves, so I'm A-okay, but he does shoot again. It's still not a great roll, but that's a hit and a crit. Gets a P1, so that's going to be -1 on my defense die, but I make 2 saves, and with Disgusting Vigor, that's technically a crit and a normal, so no damage once again. Last activation for the Intercessor warrior, and he's just going to move forward a little bit. So it's time for some Legionary combat. I want to see if the ShriveTalon can take out an Assault Intercessor, so I'm going to charge him into 1 to see. Fingers crossed. 5 attacks from the ShriveTalon, hitting on 3, and after a mix-up with the dice, this ends up as 3 hits, 1 of which is lethal 5, so a crit, and I use a reroll to get another normal hit. We accidentally use the Assault Doctrine reroll, which ends up as 3 hits and a crit for the Intercessor. I parry a crit, the Marine then hits for 3 damage, I parry again, and he hits for another 3 damage, leaving my last 2 attacks to go through for a total of 6 damage, then I attack again. It ends up as 3 crits and a hit, and the Intercessor winds up with a crit and 2 hits. Afraid of Jeweler, I parry his crit and he hits me for 3. I then parry his last hit, leaving me 2 crits going through for an 8 damage total, leaving the Assault Marine on 1 wound due to that cheeky extra wound he got from unyielding. So unfortunately it ends as a draw, and across the other end of the kill zone, another Assault Intercessor hops onto the cargo container and targets the Legionary Chosen and fires with his heavy bolt pistol. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s and crits giving P1, and that's 2 crits, so it's going to be P1, makes 1 save which turns into a crit, and that leaves 1 going through. Mutagenic Flesh only works on normal damage, so that's going to be 4 damage going through, leaving the Chosen Legionary on 9 wounds remaining. Wanting to shake the Assault Marine off the ShriveTalon, the Plasma Gunner with Maelific Blade charges into combat. With just 1 wound left on the Assault Marine, this should be easy pickings. 5 attacks hitting on 3s, and that's 4 hits, which means no matter what the Assault Marine gets, first attack takes him out of action. The Assault Intercessor is no more, and with his death it frees up the Plasma Gunner for a second target. Aiming his Plasma Gunner, he allows the power coils to overcharge as he targets the Grenadier and fires. 4 shots hitting on 3s, gets 2 hits and a crit and a 1, which means the gunner will take 3 mortal wounds, AP 2, so just 1 defense tire, and it does get a save, and that's going to be 10 damage going through, taking the Marine down to 5 wounds remaining. Back to the Intercession squad, and they're going to activate this Marine with a +1 damage rifle, and they're going to fire it point blank range into my Legionary Chosen. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, and that's 2 hits. No AP, so I get 3 saved, but I only make 1, so that's going to be 3 damage going through. Thank you, mutagenic flesh. Second round of shooting's a lot better. AP 1, and I fail all my saves, so that is a dead Chosen. I don't have a standard bearer, so with my Chosen goes my favoured of the Dark Gods. With the last action point, the Marine is just going to move forward towards the centre of the kill zone. Firing an Overwatch now, the Plasma Gunner once again levels his Plasma Gun, firing once again at the Grenadier. And you're damn right I'm overcharging. 4 attacks hitting on 4s. No 1s and 3 hits. It's a failed save, so that is a dead Grenadier. It's the last activation of a lengthy turn 2. The Intercession squad leader charges up his PowerFist and crashes into my Plague Vapor, holding the objective. 5 attacks with the PowerFist hitting on 3s, and that's a crit and 2 hits. Balefire Acolyte gets a crit and 2 hits, and then we remember Assault Doctrine, and the Sarge gets another hit. 6 for the Legionary causes 2 mortal wounds, and then the Sarge parries with Jeweler, takes 3 wounds from a hit before he crunches the Legionary with his PowerFist. With the Balefire Acolyte dead, the objective he was carrying now drops to the floor beneath him. However, the Sarge does not choose to pick it up. Now within range of 2 enemy operatives with his plasma pistol, the Sarge, instead of taking the objective, is going to target the Plasma Gunner and fire. 4 overcharged shots hitting on 3s, and that's a crit and 2 hits. AP 2, so 1 save, and it's a crit, so with mutagenic flesh, that's 8 wounds going through, leaving him with just 1. And that is the end of turn 2. It has been brutal, but let's have a quick look at what happened. Both sides pressing forward, with perhaps the Legionaries being slightly more aggressive. 5 deaths in total, 3 for the Legionaries and 2 for the Intercession squad. Which means no victory points for damage limitation this turn. However, the Legionaries do get 1 victory point for hold the line, but with these 2 operatives in the centre, no one is going to be scoring central control. The Intercessors score 1 kill on the objective, but need 2 to get any victory points for protect assets, and the objective is right here, ready to get picked up as we move into turn 3. Feels like a big turn. It's turn 3. The initiative phase is being rolled and the Legionaries win it, so they'll get control as we move into the strategy phase, and both sides get 1 CP. Starting with the Legionaries, and they no longer have their Chosen for Favoured of the Dark Gods, so they have to pay for their strats, which is horrifying. I'm going to use Implacable because I've got a couple of people who are injured and I need them to be able to move. Perhaps indicating their game plan, my opponent uses Assault Doctrine again, giving them the edge in combat as we move into the firefight phase, and obviously all the TAC ops are currently in play. It's a bold move. I know it, you know it, hell, even the catatonic stake from turn 1 knows it. My Anointed is going to charge the PowerFist Sergeant. Ay caramba. 5 attacks with the Anointed. We do forget the tilting shield means that only natural 6s count as crits, however as it turns out it doesn't make a difference. The Sarge makes 1 crit, and with a reroll, it's still just the 1. The Anointed parries with the natural 6 crit, and the rest, even counted as normal damage, take the Sarge out of action. Obviously it's a result of some horrendous dice on my opponent's half, but I still feel good about this. This is karma for him taking 3 chapter tactics. With the Sarge dead, the Anointed is just going to stay within range of the objective and central control. With a couple of injured operatives on this flank, my opponent moves an Intercessor warrior forward, looking to take care of them both with some controlled shooting. 4 shots, looking for 3s. Gets a crit, which does give the rifle P1. The Legionary makes 1 save, which becomes a crit with Disgusting Vigor, but with only 1 wound remaining, this is all moot really, and the Plasma Gunner is no more. With my Plasma Gunner dead, the Intercessor Warrior then targets the ShriveTalon. Gets a crit and 1 hit and uses a reroll, getting another crit. Makes 2 saves, 1 becomes a crit with Disgusting Vigor, but that's still going to be enough wounds to take the ShriveTalon out of action as well. With 2 kills under his belt, this guy is my least favourite enemy.
Yes, Commander.
With just the Anointed left, I have no Overwatch, so we move back for the Intercession squad's next activation, and it's this Intercessor Warrior, and he's going to fire at, you guessed it, the Anointed. Due to confusion with the dice counting wounds rather than remaining runes, we treat this guy as injured by mistake, so we only count a hit and a crit for this shooting. No mutagenic flesh this time, so it's 4 wounds on this disgustingly resilient, making 1, so it's down to 9 wounds remaining. Again, counting this guy as injured, that means we only count the 4 as a hit, but I get my 3 defense dice. Make 2 saves, so no wounds go through this time. So, we get excited sometimes when we're playing, and sometimes the rules just fall out of our combined heads. This is clearly an assault Intercessor here, however we are just about to let him shoot twice for free. How about that? So that's 3 hits with the heavy pistol and I only make 1 save, so that's going to be 6 damage on my Feel No Pain. Remarkably, I make 3, so that's just 3 wounds going through before he fires again. Whoopsie. 2 hits and a crit, giving him P1, and I make both saves, taking the crit out with Disgusting Vigor, but that leaves 1 for 3 going through. Make 1, so I'm down to 4 wounds remaining. So with that unlicensed second shooting, that marks the end of turn 3. So let's have a quick look at what's happened in the turn. The Intercession squad is closing all around my last remaining Legionary. With 2 more dead and 1 from the Intercession squad, I do however manage to eke out 1 victory point for Hold the Line, giving me 2 in total. Sadly, central control is still being contested, and the objective is still here, currently held by the Anointed. So, at this stage, if you think I have a plan, you are kidding yourself. I have no plan. Not die. That's the plan. I don't think it'll work. It's the final turn. The final countdown, the last hurrah, the last initiative phase. Legionaries win the roll-off, so they'll be going first as we move into the strategy phase. Both sides are going to get 1 critical panda.
I may have issues reproducing, but even I know Assault Marines fight twice, not shoot twice.
Alright mate, Jesus. I'm going to use mutagenic flesh for my 1 CP, but I'm going to have to pay for it this time. And my opponent's not going to use any strats, they're going to save that CP for something special. I don't know, maybe. On to the firefight phase. So I can't pick up the objective, but I can try to survive on it, so I move into conceal and I'm going to move around the terrain to get some cover while still holding the objective.
Aha, he has a plan. He has a plan, my friends.
So this is the bit that needs to be survived. With very little jiggery, this guy can shoot me twice, and by God, he's going to. So he hits all 3 times, but I get my full save, but I only make 1, so that means that's going to be 3 going through, but with mutagenic flesh, that's only 6, and I make 3, so 3 wounds down, 1 remaining, as he fires up again. It's a decent roll, that's 4 hits with 1 crit, so it's P1, and I fail both saves. With mutagenic flesh, this is 10 wounds going through, and I only make 2, so I am dead. Dead, 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 triple dead. And with the death of the Anointed, so goes my hopes of winning. This Marine activates to claim the terrain piece for seized ground, and then this Assault Marine moves onto the objective, being just out of range for central control at the same time though. Small mercies. Let's have a look at the turn recap. Not a lot of movement at the end there, but with only 4 operatives left in play, what do you expect? The Intercession squad do hold the objective at the end for that crucial 3 victory points, and they're also going to claim 1 victory point for seize ground. Meaning at the end of the game, the Intercession squad are the winners, 4 victory points to 2 for the Nurgle Legionaries. So that's the game. Thank you so much for watching. If you've gotten this far, a big shout out to my patrons for the support. And if you're looking for something to listen to, please check out my Killteam podcast, Killteam Casuals. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.